You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy. Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brian McCubbin.
Hey everyone, how you doing?
All right, David Hall.
Hello, hello.
And Tony Groves.
Howdy, fellas.
Well, today on the show, we welcome twin brothers Tyler and Bradley Beeman, host of the Into the Apex podcast. We get more iRacing improvement suggestions from a listener. We'll check out some new butt kickers, as well as check out the sim rig of a top-level F1 driver.
And you can see all of these great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting show notes. You can follow along with us on your mobile PC or mobile device in real time.
Are you struggling with maximizing your braking zones when you're on iRacing? Locking up when you're trying to push it to the limit? I was in your shoes not too long ago. I'd see my competition braking deeper than me, but no matter what I'd try, I couldn't match them until I started using SimCoach's P1 Pro pedals. With their true hydraulic design, they feel like you're driving a car. They're made right here in the USA and even offer a lifetime warranty. For a limited time, SimCoaches is offering you guys 10% off your order. You won't find a better discount anywhere. Head over to simcoaches.com and use the code iRacersLounge at checkout. We have a neat look at an inverted SimCoaches later in the show. Well, that was a great interview, David. Very impressed about the crossover between their show and ours. And it really is the racing passion, or the passion for racing. It's not really a passion for sim racing, but to race, to be side by side and going for the win.
Yeah, we definitely talked about that experience, of I really remember talking to them about that excitement when they were coming to a finish, and the nerve-wracking. I remember recently with the NIS event having that exact same feeling again, because it had been a while. It was great talking about the differences in the different disciplines and how there's room for those, because we discuss that every once in a while. We'll have somebody review and say, I really wish y'all talked about road more, but we already have a huge ton of content and we cover it. But yeah, we're going to be oval-centric. But at the same time, I enjoy this show, and I listen to Into the Apex, and they talk a lot more about the IMSA side, and I enjoy it because it gives me two different takes that I can listen to at different times of the day. All right, well, let's jump into topics. We're going to kick it off with the Skip Formula iRacing series. And Brian, you're going to tell us about that.
Yeah, that started this
Barber.
past Sunday. Yeah, with the Skip Barber Formula iRacing series. It's kicked off at Lime Rock, which is really cool track to start off with, because first of all, it's one of the free tracks that everybody learns on these road courses with. So it was had the chicanes on the both ends of it, so it was really cool to watch. But this is the series that has the incredible top prize worth a value of $500,000, which is actually a full season as a Skip Barber racing driver. So you can actually win a seat for the full 2022 season, Skip Barber Formula Race season. So maybe the top prize of almost any of these sports that we have, any of these series that we have, including the Coke. That's straight cash for that series. But this is something completely different. I like to call it I like to call this the golden ticket series, because winning this thing is like winning the golden ticket to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. It's you're gonna be a real life race car driver if you win this series. So that's really awesome. So that being said, the top finish for this week were Mikel Gade. He won both the sprint and the main and the final race. Very dominant car, very driver from watching him. So we'll have to see if
Brian,
he
he's the
continues.
winner of the 24 hours of Daytona top split too.
Uh-huh. So yeah, so this guy's got some cred. Um, Second was Harley Houghton, and third was Nicholas Mateo. So these guys are all the first three to be in the top running for this prize. Matt Busa, one of the Coke drivers, was in this series. It was the only Coke Series driver that I saw that was in this thing. I think he finished P8, so a respectable finish for him. They're going to be at VIR, Virginia International Raceway, this coming Saturday. So one of the things that's really interesting is all three of those top drivers, they're all foreign drivers. Harley Houghton is from England, Nicholas Mateo is Spain, and Mikel, I think he's Finland. I believe it's one of those Scandinavian countries. I can't remember which one for sure, but yeah. So these guys are all from overseas. They're going to have to be flown in if they're going to be racing in America. So that's pretty interesting.
That's what I was just thinking. I mean, do you go into this event thinking, I'm going to have to, fly to the USA. I'm going to spend, a couple months or however long it is. I got to come up with the cost for this, even though they're covering that thing. I don't think they cover the travel and board. Who knows? But wow, that it's quite a commitment if you're really going for it.
Yeah, that sure is, Mike. And yeah, it's great opportunity for anybody who wants to race this season. Um, you have to pay. This is the one that you had to pay $20 per race to get into. So there's a little bit of an investment involved, but I'm assuming if you're getting in this and you're really going to try to win this series, you pretty much have it in your mind that you're gonna take this ride when it's available. So I would think all these guys are prepared to make that trip.
Well, that's cheap compared to having to field an actual car, at a local short track, right?
Or
So,
find a sponsor or
Right. So another cool thing about this was that all the cars on the track are identical. They all have that same Skip Barber Racing School logos on them. The only difference is there's some different colors on like the halo and a couple sections around the wing. But other than that, it's very IROC looking. Where the cars are all set up to look almost identical. So you don't see like all the sponsorships you would normally see in the Coke series or the Porsche Tag Heuer series. Um, it's a lot more set up like IROC, and with Skip Barber being the sponsor and giving out this incredible prize, you know it's their cars are their names written all over the cars, but it looks really cool, and it's neat to see those cars all lined up looking almost identical. It's a pretty good race to watch. And yeah, I will definitely be checking out the next one at VIR this coming Sunday.
it must be hard to tell the drivers apart in that paint scenario, but I don't think this is really about viewership. This is about, let's find a good talent and give them a nice prize. And
Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, when you're racing for prizes as big as that, it almost draws you in as a viewer just to see who's gonna take this thing home.
When we're talking about paints, this next article is about the paints. Paul Newton's got something else out for us, Mike.
Yeah, he posted on Twitter the first iRacing Grand National Legends AI-enabled car collection is now up at Trading Paints. And so he posted up a link to his collection. He calls it the Grand National Legends 95 to 99. It's a series of paints dedicated to the most significant Busch Series drivers and cars from that period. This is the AI-enabled collection. It is a work in progress. For short track races, use a smaller field size. For speedway races, use the larger. This will also add the bushwhackers to the big races and remove them for the small races. Bushwhackers started about number 35 on the list. Now, for you young folks, I'll tell you what a bushwhacker is. That was a cup driver that would go down to the Busch Series and try to steal a win, kind of like a Mark Martin. Did I just age anybody there? Brian knows what I'm talking about.
I know
I'm sure.
what you're talking about. Yeah, afraid so.
Yeah, and it used to just be they would go down and take races, but then the trend started of actually going down and taking the championship. Who was it? Kyle Busch that did that first, or was it Carl Edwards? One of them ran for the championship, even though they were already a cup driver.
Looking at the paints on the page, though, man, it brings back a lot of memories. Some of these old sponsorships and pretty cool. And this is fun to do. And I've done this a few times, doing the Trading Paints collections. If you're going to do AI, you got to take a few minutes and just get these collections tied into your AI, because it just makes the world a difference to have all those paints ready to go, and you're out there with the legends, like he says.
And one of the things that's cool about it, there's kind of a charm in these small time sponsorships. It's not Budweiser, these giant companies that spend tons of money on the cup cars. It's these small little companies that you don't really hear about too much, but they always have a neat little charm to them when they're racing around in those sponsorship cars.
All right, Tony, how about the February top 10?
Yeah, well, hey, how about that? We got another one dropped. And you know what? It's kind of what you would expect out of a top 10. There was a couple of really cool ones. Most notable for me was the 5 wide, and I don't know what track they were at, but they played it from a couple of different angles, and I like they played it from you kind of looking out the window as
Michigan.
okay,
No,
yeah.
that's Auto Club.
Oh, Auto
Yeah, I
Club,
think it's Auto Club. Yeah.
Yeah, so you get to watch like out the side window as he makes the move to push it 5 wide, and yeah, they made it stick. They didn't wreck or nothing. That was cool. And then the other one, speaking of wrecks, was a huge wreck, and that was in the Daytona 500. Now, it doesn't say whereabouts in this race that happened, so I am just going to imagine that it was for the win. It was a complete parting of the seas, and this guy just dodges everything. Like, he had not one, not two, probably 3 horseshoes up somewhere to get through that mess, but he made it through nice and clean.
He didn't dodge anything. Everything dodged him. If you the way you if you
Well,
watch it.
Yeah,
It went
I
through
think
the
you're
middle,
right.
though. I mean, it wasn't like he was against the wall and they all rolled down the banking. I mean, he went right through the middle of it and never got touched. And the only car that really came out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, close your eyes, hold the gas down, and pray. And his prayers were answered. So, like I said, it doesn't say where in the race it was, but I am just going to imagine it was like the last lap shenanigans, and he sailed off into the sunset for his Daytona 500 win. I like that story the best.
So the longest clip is a 4-hour enduro race at Watkins Glen. Comes down to, side by side at the end, and they show the side by side at Watkins Glen for lap after lap here. It's crazy.
There was also a finish at Nashville Speedway um, of a .000 uh, finish, where these two cars were basically identical, tied. Um, I know they probably had a winner of the two, but when you're getting to the thousandths of a second, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and of course the final one at Spa, the guy gets a brilliant launch off the line. He's way back and takes over, 7, 8 cars before he gets up to the top of Rouge.
So there was one near the end, and it was the dirt late models, and Buddy does a crossover. And kind of wondering why this one made the top 10, because in order for him to make that crossover, he totally trashed that other car.
It was ugly, but that's kind of the way dirt's been going lately, right?
Well, if I'm around a driver that does that cannon shot like that GT driver did, um, those are most of the time death. He's lucky he got through that, because usually they go through like that, and there's just one of those drivers that you're like, why are you trying to win it on the first lap? It ends up just being so ridiculous. You're not a
Or
pro
you'll
driver.
see him in the brush a half lap later. He's off on the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are definitely right about that, because 99 times out of 100, that's one of those reasons why you start that race from the pits.
This next set of videos, this is just one of them, David, is absolute gold if you want to learn setups.
Yeah, and it is kind of funny that you have me introduce this one, because I don't even drive the Xfinity car, but we have a setup videos from Area 51 Alien Factory, and he goes over setting up for the Xfinity car. And basically, the title of this particular video is called Chassis Identification. I'll confess I didn't watch it, because I'm not going to be setting up cars on the Xfinity side.
Yeah, this guy started a forum post introducing his videos, and he just calls it Intro to Building Setups. But his channel he's got a ton of stuff. I mean, and so there's definitely some videos to go back and look at. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now in a row. Track bar adjustments, symmetry for road courses, right rear coil binding. Here's another one: bug found in track bar measurements.
Yeah, this is a good source if you are interested in setting the cars up. I went in my Ventura trying to mess with that the last 2 years, and I can tweak minor adjustments, but I'll never be a set builder. But if you're interested, this is a good source.
Yeah, and Matt, in the forum post, Matt Holden, staff member, who's one of the vehicle engineers, he's confirming that this guy knows what he's talking about.
Well, Brian, what's this dirt performance article about?
Well, this is from Derek Cyphers. He posted in the forums that he's got dirt road and dirt oval added to his iRacing driver performance data analysis. So this is a site where you can go on, enter your ID, and it gives you the graphs of your performance as far as your iRating and your iRating percentile among compared to other drivers. It does the same for your safety rating as well. So he had that before for oval and road, but he's added both dirt oval and dirt road to it as well. So you can go through all your metrics and compare yourself to other drivers on those as well.
Next step, do it for every track.
Ooh. And let's get it on a website that's easy to remember. I mean, the website he's got it hosted on is something like you would never remember. I mean, you'd have to bookmark it or something, but maybe get a nice domain to go with it,
Sounds like we need a domain hosting sponsor.
I'm in the 54% iRating percentile for the dirt oval, and on the safety rating, 81 percentile. Not too good. I'm glad that the iRating one is on the right side of the halfway mark at least, and I'm not on the bottom side of that. Kind of surprises me. I figured I'd be on the bottom side of the halfway mark, but I'm actually above the halfway mark. I didn't look at the dirt road one though.
It's glitching for me. It keeps changing to a different number.
So you have to type your ID up in the corner and hit enter.
I did.
27% iRating percentile on the dirt road. Yikes. Now that I expected. Pretty cool little resource. Of course, you to find the links, guys, head over to the show notes.
So if you listen to the aftermath episode last week, Tony, I do believe y'all spent a little bit of time making a list of improvements, didn't you?
Oh yeah, we sure did. Yeah, we we went running with that topic. We spent a lot of time on that. That was a lot of fun.
And Mike, that's what we're going to talk about next. We just had we actually covered Matt Malone covering it, but we have something else that was continued by Dr. Ozzy.
Yeah, who's a regular over in our Discord channel, iRacers Lounge Discord. You guys get in there. We're having discussions throughout the week, and of course, Dr. Oz Orzy wanted to pipe in on that topic, and so here's his 4 items that he wants. He wants the podium celebration for the 3 of them are nice, at the end of the race. It could include maybe the driver's name, SR and IR, maybe the fastest lap of the race, maybe while you see him, spraying some champagne or chugging down a shoey. Number 3, pit lane animations. Obviously, in NASCAR, I think we've been spoiled, and not all the cars have that. I think they need to finish that and get it on all the cars.
I'd love to see that in the Formula One cars because they'd have to mop out about 20 guys sitting there ready to change tires and add fuel.
2 seconds.
Change tires, yeah, for 2 seconds. But it's crazy how many people sit. And another thing with the Formula One, man, you got to hit your marks dead on for them guys to really have a good pit stop. Because if you're off to the left or right, you're going to be running people over. They're sitting in the middle of the pit stop when you come in.
All right, his number 2, 4X for getting rear-ended. It sucks big time when the guy behind you is incapable, etc. I don't know about this one. I mean, he's saying maybe it should be a 2X if you're the one getting hit.
The only problem with that one is he's basically asking it to start assigning fault. I could easily, if I want to give somebody a 4X knowing I'm only going to get a 1X, just brake check the crap out of them, right? So that one's a dangerous can of worms.
Yeah. And the number 1, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's not always your fault when you run into the back of somebody. Sometimes it's the car in front's fault. So, yeah.
Well, or you like Martinsville. I mean, you could get run over from behind and get pushed into the car in front of you, 3-way push. His number 1 was safety car and virtual safety car. Number 1 wish, he says, surely it's about time for iRacing to introduce safety cars and virtual safety cars for road racing, especially now that we have a decent Formula One car to drive and race. And more to the point, safety cars and VSCs are just an integral part of road racing, just as yellow flags and blue flags are. Now, I don't want to jump into an official race and spend the entire 40 minutes behind a safety car just because people haven't practiced and can't keep it out of the wall. However, I'm sure they could do something where if there was 4 or more cars involved, or it's an automatic safety car or something along those lines.
And there's already some third-party apps that do this. We've used it in a couple of our specialty races, and we're using it in the Fast Track League this year for the road courses. So I like the idea, but you do have to place a little bit of a limit on it because in a road course, how many times are there so many little individual instances? So kind of along the same lines he's thinking. So something how if you reach a certain minute, certain number of instances within a certain minute, or the way the app works that we use, it just always triggers after a certain number of total X's, right? And I know I've seen a new app that will basically reset after so much time. So you have to have a big incident, not just a solo spin, to bring out a caution. So it would be nice, but you do have to balance the fact that you don't want to spend. Just imagine how long a pace lap is at Coda, as big as that track is. So you don't want to be spending a whole lot of time on the pace laps, but it is nice to have the field bunch up in occasion and have that element of the race.
I was just thinking that last night at Coda, it would have been a lot more fun if we bunched up the cars somewhere after halfway and just, try again. I always gain spots when we're on restarts like that on a road course, I'm always going forward at least for the first lap or two. So I would welcome it.
I'm thinking about like some of the videos we've had on here of like cars coming up through the S's at Watkins Glen, and the track just gets completely blocked, and cars are just slamming in, and just there's no yellow flag, so the cars that were ahead of that wreck are just gone. I mean, you can't catch them; they're gone. If you gotta break for
Race over, right?
if you gotta break for an incident like that where there's completely track is clogged, there's no reason why something like that shouldn't have brought out a yellow.
Yeah. So can you actually incorporate AI now that decides, is there enough blockage, especially on the first lap, to warrant bringing things to a stop?
Do it. What else should we do, Tony?
Well, how about we get teased with some more rain videos? Well, at least one. It's about 11 seconds long, and I was pretty underwhelmed. But it could just be my resolutions. I couldn't see things very well. I could tell that the windshield wipers were working on this car.
That's the whole thing. It's just the car has a working wiper. That's what this person found, Corey Preston.
Oh, so there's no actual rain or anything happening?
No, he just says he thinks rain is coming soon because we got a working wiper.
Okay. Kind of
Yeah,
lackluster.
if you look at the clouds, it's just partly cloudy.
But
I wanted to see like lightning in the background and a hail of rain coming down, and maybe the headlights are flashing on and off because he's all freaked out because he's going through a torrential downpour. But no, we get just a couple of swipes of the wiper. There you go.
Flying cows, right? From Twister.
Yeah, we'll do that too.
So if you get in the forum post and scroll down, there's another video that shows an in-car with the wiper on, and he said it's really distracting, takes away your focus, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, this is the Porsche 992, I think, and yeah.
Well, Brian, is this sponsor easier to say than Tag Heuer?
It is for me, but so we talked a little bit about this last week. CarQuest was going to make a big announcement, and they finally posted on their on the website. Tyler Hudson did that CarQuest Auto Parts will now be the official sponsor of the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series. So this is this is for the iRacing Sprint Car Series only. I think this does not apply to the actual World of Outlaws. I think they're still sponsored by NOS Energy Drink. But yeah, so we've covered all the World of Outlaw races here, and it's always a great series, and it's cool to have CarQuest adding their name to iRacing's sponsors list. And it's good that they see the value in what a sponsorship of these virtual races and virtual championship series can do.
Now, there were some new details in this, and that's why I put it back on here. It will begin in October with a series of 6 qualifying races. Those who qualify will compete in 10 World of Outlaw Pro Series races beginning in November, and it concludes in January. The winner takes home a grand prize of $10,000 and the CarQuest Cup. Yeah, pretty cool. And so we got a time frame. It's later in the year. And yeah, looking forward to watching that.
Yeah, that's a good series, and so I'm assuming that they've always done it where I think the top 10 or so carry over from the previous series. So I guess these qualifying races are going to be kind of like Road to Pro is for a Coke series.
Yeah, yeah. You got to get in the top half or whatever.
So now we're going to jump into the calendar portion, right? And this first one is not till July, but it's still interesting to talk about. Last year, it's the Peachtree 3. It's an iRacing special event. Last year, it raised $57,000 for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, and it looks like it's going to be mostly your kind of smaller class GT4s and MX5s at Road Atlanta. But what's particularly interesting about this is that it's designed to make money, so they've got some almost like power-ups that you can actually purchase. Teams can actually issue drive-through penalties to other competitors for $350. And you can even call a caution for $500, or get a waiver round for $1,000.
Now wait a minute. So our team is running second, and I can just like cut a check for $1,000 and get a waiver round, get back on the lead lap to contend for the win.
That you can.
That is cool. I've never heard of that before, but what a neat concept to raise money. Yeah.
Well, the major series lets you buy an extra attempt at qualifying, so it's not novel, but it's definitely high dollar. Pretty interesting idea. Because it's for charity, it's nice, but it still kind of almost rubs me a little bit the wrong way. It's just not straight up racing, right? It's almost pay to win. But I mean, if it's for charity, well, there you go. There are multiple splits. I don't know if that option is available in all splits, but there will be. It's going to be featuring Steve Myers, and I think Chad Knaus is going to be around, as well as Nick Ottinger. That I don't know if they're racing or announcing or not, but they're listed on the information here at the top.
I think that the thing last year was those three were a team, like they were all in the same car. And so I think that's the idea again.
There you go. Yeah, so they'll be running in the top split, or the broadcast split is what it's called.
All right,
Neat
so
event.
we'll keep that on the radar. If you guys are interested, get involved. The Sebring 12 Hours is the big one this weekend. That's where Greg is. He's actually preparing as we speak. So David, you guys ready?
Yeah, we're plenty ready. We're teaming up with Crisscross guys. He's filling in our third spot this week. Greg's running one right now. I've already run a few. We're plenty ready. It's one of my favorite courses. I've been making top split or upper splits in the official series and having decent runs, but there's a lot of fast guys out there, but it's still one of my favorite road courses. It's especially, it's weird because we were just talking about Road Atlanta. This one's Sebring is flat. There's no elevation changes. It's just it's out in Florida. It's an old military base, and it's just flat, and it's so pretty at night. It's so fun to drive. And you didn't really dive into the details, but it's almost all the same details. It's got the 4 time slots. It's the IMSA cars. So it's kind of the standard special event format nowadays.
Okay. Tony, we got a new endurance championship.
Yeah, and I think we were talking about this here last week. It's the Nürburgring Endurance Championship. And it's a endurance series, obviously, would feature a series of 9 endurance races. Each of them will be 4 to 6 hours long on the combined Nürburgring VLN circuit. And with this one, drivers can participate solo or with a team. Well, that one's kind of cool. They kind of give a little background of what this series is, and they're saying it's like a grassroots series. That's the backbone of the actual races that take place on the Nordschleife when it isn't in use for public hot lapping. It's made up of several motorsports clubs. Each of them host a one-off event totaling 9 events throughout the year, and there's a ton of crossover with the Nürburgring 24. Yeah, that's kind of a neat little kind of added little FYI they add in there. And
Now,
that
here's a
looks
question.
like it. Oh, sorry, David. I was just gonna say it looks like it starts off with in on April 23rd, 24.
Is this going to be able to do different classes for some of the different races, or is it going to be all 5 classes every time?
All 5 every time is the way I read this.
Right.
And there's slow cars and faster cars, so should make for some interesting moments with the Mazda out there, and then the GT3 and GT4s.
I saw a Cup class and I was like, they're doing what? And then read a little further along, and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Porsche Cup.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Several of us during COTA last night were saying how much more fun we'd be having driving the Cup car at Sebring instead of COTA. All right, Brian, next one is something to do with Bristol.
Yeah, guys, this is what they're calling the Bristol double header. It's actually 2 races. It's a truck race followed by a Cup car race. There's different rules for each. This is $15 entry for the Cups, and it's $500 to win. $500 to win. That's for the trucks. Now, for the trucks, you have to have an I rating of 2,500 or less at the time you sign up. So it's not going to be like any ringers. All of us mid-level guys will have a chance to do well on that one. Now, the Cup race is open to everyone, including pros, and will be open setups. That's $25 to enter in the Cup series, $1,000 to win. So the truck race is 200 laps and a stage break at lap 80, and the Cup race is 400 laps and 2 stages, one at 100 and one at 225. So there's going to be stages in this race. Open setup for the cars, fixed setup for the trucks. It's going to be held on April 23rd, 2022. It's sponsored by the Garza Law Firm and the Ron Morris Racing broadcast is going to broadcast it. So you can sign up at ronmorrisracing.com. And there's also a $100 award to a random driver from each field. So you don't even have to be good or do well to get some cash in that one. So something you want to check out if you're Bristol fans, and a couple good events that you can check out.
Yeah, a listener sent this in, Ron Morris, and so sign up at ronmorrisracing.com, or you can link to his Discord from our show notes.
Yeah, so the payouts are based on 41 car fields, but if there's more than 41 drivers, they'll have heat races. So you still will get a chance to make the feature race if there's more than 41 entries.
Okay, podcast housekeeping notes, the aftermath. What's going on there?
Oh, we missed Scales last week. We did an episode. It was just Rochette and Tyler Williamson joined us. Had a nice little chat talking about things that we want to see in iRacing, or just kind of took off from one of the topics that we were talking about last week on the main show. It was a fun little chat, short and sweet one, but hey, those aren't so bad either.
All right, very good. It was a good episode. I did a little exercise that I haven't done for maybe 2 years. I went on Google and searched iRacers Lounge and found, where are we actually being broadcast at? I mean, where can you find our podcast? And I found some new places that we haven't been on before, I think. And so I kind of updated the list. I put it on the script. I'm going to read off the list real quick. We got iTunes, Google, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, SoundCloud, Podbean, Outtail, Amazon, Podtail's in there twice. iHeart, Listen Notes, that's a new one. Luminary Podcast, that's a new one. Podcast Addict, Castbox, Pocket Cast, Podchaser, Deezer, Pandora, Audible, that's a new one. Audible, Chartable, that's new. Luminary, Ivy, Podcast Republic, Podmailer, Podbay, and I found our raw RSS feed. And you can get the link to all those on our front page at iRacersLounge.com. And then don't forget we're in regular rotation at the Performance Motorsports Network.
All right, Tony, how did your guys survive in the Fantaslanida?
Well, I'm sure I was in the same boat with a lot of you, and they didn't. I even picked off, like I kept my, I treated it just like it's a plate race. That was my strategy going in, and it still didn't work all that well for me. But I believe / hope that my doing that has saved some uses for later on down the road. But it didn't really help my standings any. But there's always winners, and this week I was a loser again. But we'll turn that around. But we got like Mr. Rochette sitting nicely in second place right now, which is pretty darn crazy. Good for him. He's doing really good. And our past champion from last year, Res Dog, he's looking pretty good, sitting in fifth. I didn't follow everybody. So how did you guys all fare out last week?
Well, I see Brian's at the bottom of the list for last week, like literally.
Yeah, I forgot to change my put in my people.
I'm 30th. Greg was 14th. Steve Llewellyn did pretty good in 8th. The highest of our group was Tyler in 4th.
It was
and there's
definitely
Smiling Ninja in 12th. She had a good week.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those just plate race things. Just personally, I don't do the fantasy, but I didn't enjoy the race format. It wasn't quite the same as the plate racing, but I would have just rather seen 1.5 miles, to be honest, than that the way they ran at that race.
Well, it was exciting. There was lots happening. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still on the same, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, David. I'd rather just see a normal Atlanta, but that's just not going to happen anymore. I think they, like Door Bumper Clear said, like, they got what they're looking for. Lots of lead changes, lots of side-by-side racing, lots of craziness. Yeah, it wasn't too bad of a race. I mean, but it totally sucked for fantasy because you don't know what the hell to do. But then we got where we at next week, Coda. So once again, we got some road guys. We got some new road guys, Austin Cindric and Ross Chastain's in really good equipment this year. So I really expect those two guys to to be a factor for most of the day. But you know what? Basically, the way my luck's been going this season, don't listen to anything I got to say because I really don't know what the heck I'm talking about. But we're gonna keep trying.
We're going to kick off the hardware with we mentioned it earlier. Sim coaches spotted in the wild. We have the Sim coaches inverted hydraulic pedals, and they're linked up on an M1-3 motion rig. And the motion rig is definitely nice looking, and these pedals look good when they're upside down or right side up.
Boy, do they. And this rig is something else. Bobby told me it has the iRacers Lounge colors. And so maybe they should brand it that way, but I don't know.
Would need a little more white in there, but it's I like the painted or what do they powder it
Powder
for the
coat.
powder coat it.
Powder coat, yeah.
I like that look. I wish I had that with my rig, but it was a matter of waiting more months to get one of the colors instead of just getting the plain aluminum.
Yeah, I went with black, and I don't know if I'm a fan of the black. I think if I had a choice, I would have went with a brighter color, but it's okay. I mean, I put the blue inserts in it, and it gives it some pop, so I'm okay with it.
I like the black, but you can really see the dust when it starts collecting.
Got lots of dust here.
I learned that lesson when I owned a black car back in the day.
Now, what do you think about the angle of the inverted sim coaches? I mean, when I was thinking of inverting them, I mean, like they hang completely upside down. These are kind of at an angle, like a 40-degree angle.
That's the angle I would want them at. Like I specifically tried to get I have mine not inverted, but I have my throttle leaning back as far as I could get it to lean and still work right, just because it's more comfortable that way. That's the way it's going to sit in a real car.
I see.
So we know that these brake pedals, they use a lot of brake force to engage. Do you think having them upside down like that will be any kind of compromise as far as how much you can push on them? Or as long as they're mounted really well, they'll be
It's
okay?
it's mounted to it. It's going to depend on, I guess, your rig because it's mounted. Mine's mounted to an aluminum plate. You're just mounting it upside down to an aluminum plate. So if that aluminum plate doesn't move, you're going to be fine.
I mean, this guy's rigs are known for his massive, pedal overkill, mounting option, and there's no way that one moves. But on a weaker rig, you're absolutely right, Brian. It could be, tweaking.
It's that's 1/4 inch aluminum, right? That's how thick that plate is. If I'm just giving it a rough guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the plate would be fine. I'm just worried about the connection points to the plate to the rig.
Oh
You
no.
know, if that's going to be any kind of issues with something like that.
Yeah, the pedals will definitely stick really well to the plate, and then it's just going to be a
Right.
matter. The rest of it's just going to come down to having the right rig.
I kind of really like the idea of pedals being inverted. It feels a little bit more natural to me uh, than pedals that are all on the floor. But it's kind of hard to get the combinations because a lot of times the throttle pedals is on the ground and the brake is up top, right?
Yeah, but if you look at a lot of sports cars, they actually have them on the ground. And the new next gen car, it's on the ground. So it's one and a half, 2 dozen, another, blah blah blah. But uh, I guess whatever ends up feeling more comfortable. I know I'm super happy with the way mine feel.
Now, when I got my MPCC pedals many years ago, they were the first of the kind inverted. I mean, I don't think anyone offered inverted pedals before that I can remember. And so that was a key selling point for me. I was like, oh, wow, inverted pedals? I mean, this will be like a real car. And the guy selling them had a specific mount for my specific rig. So I was just like, sold, sold, sold.
That's kind of like when I got the sim coaches. It was because they literally had them on the shelf that night.
Sold.
So this is something you don't have to buy on the shelf, though. We have a companion app, Brian.
Yeah, this is called the Zero X Companion app. It's from Mikey Pollard, and he posted in the forums that he's announcing the release of a new companion app for the iRacing, and it's native to the iOS, Apple, iPhone, iPad. So gives you access to your license stats, results, schedules, standings, driver searches, and more. It also has a home screen widgets and handy share features for easily sharing your great race results. So yeah, it's again, it's for Apple, so you got to have an Apple product. But I currently use the iScheduler app on my phone. This looks like it's actually a little bit more, maybe a good bit more detailed with what you can do with it than the iScheduler. Um, it's really cool because you can go right to the iRacing schedule page and look through the entire schedule. Um, so I'm going to take a look at this because I like the iScheduler, but there's some things about it that I wish were better, especially as far as like narrowing down the searches for what races you want to look for. Um, and yeah, I might take a look at this one. So it's called the Zero X Companion app, and yeah, it's got graphs and everything else that you don't see in the scheduler. So yeah, you might want to check that out if you have an iPhone or an iPad and you're looking for a mobile app for your iRacing stuff.
I know Rochette enjoys shooting screenshots of the standings in the different series from his phone app instead of pulling them off the website.
Yeah, I use the app as well, iSchedule, and it actually, you can pull up posted races, but there's no way to sort it. If they could sort it by, I usually sort them by how many pit stalls are taken, so you can see which ones are populated. But it was cool. Like I was just sitting in the other room, like I wonder if there's a hosted race I want to jump in, and I could just pull up that app and pull it up. But there were so many of them, you can't really figure out what's what. So yeah, if this app is better, Brian, let me know. I might check it out. Now I think we have the wrong link in our notes, so you might have to search it.
This next one, I'm kind of wordless. I'm curious to see what Groves might have to say about it.
I mean, it's cool, but I couldn't find where it says it has motion because I kind of think this is a bit overkill if you don't do motion. Anyways, what we're looking at, it's Vettel's, Sebastian Vettel's home sim racing rig, and it's a cutout of a F1 car, like the cockpit, set up against
Like a real one.
Yeah, real. Yeah. And it's got like a triple monitor setup set in front of it. And I was looking through the article and trying to like see some pictures or maybe a video, like hoping like if you're gonna go through all this, make it move. But I can't tell if it can. It
I think
doesn't
it
look like it
does.
does.
Well, only because of the massive rack with all the cabling that goes into it. That's not a computer. The computer's behind the monitor, it looks like. And so that has to be powering the motion. Like I would guess.
Well, okay, so you got some speakers coming out the back, like at the on the side, and I'm seeing cabling for that, and I'm seeing cabling going for the big speakers at the front, and oh, now if you look kind of underneath where it says like Austin Martin, but look underneath the rig, it almost looks like it could be an actuator. On the far side of the rig, it's kind of hidden by the framing on the side that's closest to the camera. So maybe.
I'm not convinced it's motion, but it still looks really nice. And motion is not the be all and end all. We've kind of, I don't know if we've talked about this or if we got into it in the discussion on over with the Apex guys, but the butt kicker, I think, is a bigger difference maker than the motion. But yeah, if you're going to spend this kind of money, motion would be nice too. Of course, this may just been a throwaway part, right? We're done with this chassis. Let's turn it into a rig.
Yeah, maybe this is like it's like it's not quite there. Maybe still like building it because you've got the seat belts kind of hanging out the back, not really attached to anything. That would go great for like a setup like Brian has, where it's got the tensioning system. But yeah, I don't know. Like if you're gonna go through all this, it needs motion, in my opinion.
The beauty of this is the actual cockpit. It's real. The halo, I mean, it's massive. I just love it.
You'd actually have to look through the halo, which would be funny if you were actually running the F1 car in iRacing as well. So you've basically got a double halo.
Well, let's talk some beefy hardware next. This guy in PCMag.com trying to reach 1,000 frames per second on Doom Eternal. How? Well, he's using liquid nitrogen to cool his PC, and he basically put a metal container on top of the chip, and then he pours liquid nitrogen into the bowl. And you have to constantly, you can only do this for a short time, and you have to fill it up again and again. And yeah, so it's quite a project. And I'm thinking, well, maybe we need some liquid nitrogen cooled PCs for iRacing.
You need this kind of stuff if you're trying to do like astronomy, like with the James Webb Telescope, not play Doom.
Hardy's might be a little out of order when when you got that kind of investment into something like that, and just so you can play Doom.
Yeah, so he had a 2080 Ti, and he ramped it from 1.6 gigahertz up to 2.4 gigahertz. And it looks like he ended up getting about 600 frames per second. And they do show a picture of him pouring the liquid nitrogen into the thing, and you can see the frost like on all the parts and everything. I mean, this doesn't look good for the computer.
Now, it looks like some Frankenstein stuff, to be honest with you. It's pretty interesting, but I mean, your eyes can't pick up that kind of frame rate. It makes no difference if it's 1,000 or 600 or 200. Your eyes can't pick up that fast of a frame rate anyway, right?
Yeah, so I mean, he's doing it because he can. It's obviously not practical, but
Right.
it is kind of entertaining to see the attempt.
Maybe it would be like a fan. You blink really fast, you can kind of see individual fan blades. Maybe you got to blink really fast to see the frame rate work. No? All right. Well, they can't all be winners.
Now, I asked Tyler if he wanted this next one, Brian.
Yeah, so this is some guy who posted a video on YouTube. His name's Attanas Zipster. So I probably butchered that, but it's kind of a weird name. But he has shown you a way to how to do the boost kit for the Fanatec CSL DD. So you can obviously buy the boost kit. It takes it from 5 to 8 Newton meters, I believe, for the strength of that CSL DD. But I don't know what's Fanatec charge, like $300 almost 200 something.
Crazy.
that
I don't remember
for that.
exactly, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a couple $100 to get that booster kit. So this guy shows you on his YouTube page how he did it in DIY style for $50. So he was able to get that boost for $50. Now, I mean, it makes me a little nervous, when you start using outside stuff on proprietary equipment, that something's not going to work great, or something's going to go catastrophically wrong with it. But yeah, maybe it doesn't. So, and you save yourself $150, $200. I don't know.
The thing that makes me nervous about this too is, now that it's out there on how to build it, and we know that the motor can accept a variable amount of power. Like, it comes with a cheaper, lower power supply. They sell this more expensive, bigger power supply at a higher voltage, wattage, whatever. And so that means the motor can accept, all this different voltage. So who's going to stop, this sim racer guy to say, okay, I'm going to do what they do in this video, but I'm going to buy the part that is 20% more powerful than the part they show in the video, and then they amp it up even more. Can the motor handle it? Are you creating a fire hazard? I mean, there's so many different things.
And you're running into, obviously, you do anything like this, you're going to break the warranty.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. That's if you can get Fanatec to answer the phone if you have a problem anyway.
They don't have phones.
That's right. You're right. Or answer your email, I should say.
This next one, not Brian, Mike was showing me, and it's kind of interesting because I love my butt kicker, but it does have a tendency to overheat if I have it cranked up too high at one of the oval courses. There's a couple of new heavy duty butt kickers that are out called the Gamer Plus and the Gamer Pro, and we got several YouTube videos out to show some reviews on them as well.
Yeah, we talked about this last week, but we got a lot more videos this week on it. So I thought we would talk about it again, because one thing that was brought up was the software that comes with it. It is a subscription software. And that's rubbing some of the reviewers the wrong way. And I think it rubs me the wrong way too.
Yeah, for something like this with hardware, that I don't like that idea either. However, I'm just doing fine with just the iRacing LFE features on mine.
SimHub 100%, even the paid version of SimHub. And so if I bought this, I think I would continue to use SimHub, I think.
And I'm assuming that is possible, right? You don't have to use their software.
So it has a USB and an audio input. And so the idea is use the USB cable if you're using the new, subscription software they offer. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way with an audio input like we always do.
It's not bad if it's at least backwards compatible.
I'm tempted, to just get one of these and put it on the back and take my current one and put it on the front. I even have a spot for the amp still, and I'm all ready for it. I mean, so this very well might be a summer project for me after I get my wheel.
So it looks like they really beefed up their clamp system as well. And I've actually had one of my clamps break on one of my butt kickers. I had to send it back, and to their credit, they did replace it, and I didn't have any issues with it. But this one looks like you won't have that issue with a busted clamp on it.
They also have mount holes right on the butt kicker itself, so you don't have to use the clamp. You can literally just bolt that right onto your rig. And that might be the way to go. I think that might give a better, contact between the transducer and the rig than the clamp would ever do. So pretty expensive, $320, I think it is, for the Pro.
Yeah, I mean, I think I got my Gamer 2s for under 200. So it was like 180, something like that.
I paid
maybe
$240 when I bought mine.
Yeah, I got mine when they were running a 199 special, I believe. So, that's a good bit more. But if it's a lot better experience as far as handling that extra heat and all, like Dave was talking about, it might be worth paying the extra money for that.
Well, and if you're buying one for the first time or buying additional ones, this is a no-brainer to get the new one over the old one. This next one, Brian, blew me away a little bit. What a compact motion system.
Yeah, this is from Next Level Racing. They call it their Motion Plus platform. It's selling for $34.99, $3,500, and it's a different way to do motion for a platform type of system, like an 80/20 system. So instead of having the 4 individual actuators that move up and down independently and give you your tilt forward and back and side to side motion, this one is like one solid long piece that goes left to right across your rig and has just a pivot point there that will rotate the rig on those axes, side to side, front, and lift it up and back. So you'll get 4 degrees of motion on this. It's not a 6 degree where you get the yoke of the turning of the vehicle, but it does give you the 4 points of motion. So you're right though, Mike. It's very compact. It sits right underneath the rig, so it doesn't protrude out the side like the actuators do. So yeah, it's an interesting looking system. It's priced fairly well for for Emotion. So it looks like it's a pretty promising way to go.
Yeah, so the motion part you're talking about is on the back part of the rig, on like across the back legs, as you would call it, and then on the front it's just a pivot, like a half circle pivot point. Really, it's just a hard piece. It's like a half circle, and it's kind of everything just kind of rolls across that half circle thing as the back is lifting or dropping each corner. If I described it right. But to see it with the Next Level Racing 80/20 cockpit, the iRacing edition one that they have, it looks really, really nice. I mean, what a setup. But I don't know, man. I mean, it's a lot of money, considering you can get the 4-post D-box style, for 2,400, and this is, 1,000 more than that. But man, I mean, you could even bolt this onto any, like a SimLab P1X, really. I mean, it's compatible with basically any 80/20 rig.
Yeah, looking at it really, really well. The um, the pistons that come off the bottom of it, they don't look super beefy. So that's something I might be concerned about if I was really looking hard into it. Um, so, you know, you're lifting up the entire rig plus whoever's sitting on it. That's a lot of weight, and it's if all these parts aren't built strong enough, you're going to have problems eventually. So that's one of the things I would check into really well before I would dive into this system. But other than that, it looks pretty solid, though. I'll give it that.
There's another picture on their website where they put the pivot piece on the back and the motion piece on the front. So I guess you could do it either way. It is pretty, and like what's unique about it, like you said, Brian, it's completely underneath the rig. It doesn't stick out the side at all. And so the footprint, it's like it's not even there hardly.
Yeah, that's right. So my rig I have set up on a platform, and when I got my actuators for motion, I had to extend the width of the platform because when you add those actuators on the side, you add almost another foot to the width of your whole footprint. So something like this, I wouldn't have had to do that. I could have kept the initial footprint size and it just went with this.
I almost bought a Next Level Racing rig. I was really, really close. And then if I had, I would be looking at this going, okay, now I got to get this to match it,
Here you go. That's how it works.
All right, next up, heads up, there's an update to Sim Racing Apps. Server version 1.18. I did update recently. Basically, he added the iRacing new content that's been released since December. He added the ability to control all aspects of the gauge parameters. He disabled the pit countdown now that iRacing has its own. You can re-enable it in the settings. See the release notes.
I would definitely stick with the sim racing one, the app's first one versus the in game. And if you turn your chattiness down real low on the in game, you won't hear it.
So if you do update, then that means you need to go into the settings and turn it back on if you want to keep the sim racing countdown. Okay.
So we're looking at a wheel next, right? Cube Controls wheel. It's like a Mercedes branded one. Is this one of those that can go in the wheel or in the actual car as I'm glancing at the website?
Yeah, this is kind of like what they were doing with the Bentley and the BMW, what Fanatec was doing. Now Cube Control is doing the same thing, but with Mercedes AMG.
So this is developed exclusively for the GT Track series. It has a lot of range adjustments and control opportunities. Ergonomics features and the look have been developed strictly together with AMG to ensure the proper race car feeling without sacrificing the premium materials, design, and finish. So I guess you can throw this one on the rig or the car.
So they just announced this in a blog post like today. There's no price or anything like that. It's not for sale yet. But there you got a picture of it. It looks much like the wheel I bought, but toned down. It's not like as many buttons, and it doesn't have the rotaries and the paddles and all the other stuff. Real sleek looking.
Well, one of the reasons you might not have as many of the paddles on a GT wheel is because if you look at the dash, you got some of those rotaries over there.
Yeah. But more to come on that. We have no idea what the price will be or anything like that. But, when I saw the email from Cube Controls about a new wheel, I kind of held my breath. Oh, no. Did I buy the wrong one? Did I not wait long enough? And I should have waited and got this one instead. But no, I got the right one.
All right, Tony, the next one we've got is the MR-Mobile.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we were going to see this one on the script tonight or not. I come across this earlier just today, and this one here kind of seems like it could solve a lot of problems for a lot of guys. Like if you're short on space, you need to get that rig, folded up and moved out of the way. This one sounds like it could be a very good option, and it does just that. It looks like it fairly easily just folds right up and has like a pretty small footprint, and it's not a plastic. It's made from 5mm aluminum and 30 series aluminum profile, and it's sturdy enough. They say it has no problem holding any DD wheel. And
I got you. I want you to try imagining one thing though. Just look at the video when it's unfolded, and imagine trying to reach that brake pedal around that center post.
well, the center post for sure would be a problem for a lot of people, but there are sacrifices needed to be made for this stuff to for what you're looking for, right?
I mean, the center post is a 2 or 3 inches thick, maybe, and it's literally in front of the brake. I mean, David's got a very good point.
Yeah, we've had teammates who basically have not been able to drive certain cars because of their G seat. So I wouldn't recommend this one unless you're going to get rid of the clutch and get your brake pedal all the way out to the side and just focused on using only a steering wheel clutch.
A 2-pedal system, yeah, that
Mhm.
might work. The way it folds up, Tony, like you said, the picture where it's all folded together. I mean, it's no bigger than what an office chair would take up,
Yep.
space-wise.
It needs a speaker attached though, so it can make the transformer sound when it's changing.
Yeah, no, you're right though. It's very, very small footprint, lots of adjustability. So I mean, you can customize this thing to how you want it to, to fit you. And they say it'll fit drivers anywhere from 4 feet to 6'6". So there's lots of flexibility. But yeah, that center post could be a problem. But you know what, for a lot of people, this just a really good solid option, and might keep the wife happy.
Yeah, and no price really. It says coming soon. Price is coming soon. There's a $1 reserve. You can pay $1 and reserve as a deposit.
Yeah, reserve your spot in line. They figuring this is gonna come. It says coming soon, April, May. So I don't know if that's when they're gonna actually start taking official pre-orders or when they're gonna launch a price. I mean, it's almost April, so yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll if they keep this thing updated, we can update down the road when it gets a little closer to getting released.
It does have the advantage over some of the play seats, I guess is what I meant to say, instead of G seats. You can put your own chair in there. It comes with one, I guess, that's kind of looks very minimal, but you can throw a Sparko in there or any other kind of actual proper bucket seat if you want as well.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say I'm not doing any endurance races with the seat that comes with. No way.
That little go-kart seat.
Yeah, that's not gonna fly. It's got no back support, At least on those ones that are real laid where you lay down, at least it cradles you. But this one, it looks like it supports your lower back somewhat, but the top part.
It looks
Retarded.
like
I
the
don't think you
seat
can
for
have
a
any place.
kiddie go-kart, or not kiddie go. It
Yeah,
looks like
exactly.
it looks like a theme park ride, on one of those like kid roller coasters where it's just tiny.
Like a little pedal car almost.
Yeah.
No, that's what it is. It says right there. It's a karting seat, durable karting seat. But yeah, it's doesn't scream comfort by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, rip that off there, put a proper seat in, and it still folds up just nicely with one of those big seats.
The
right.
$1 seems kind of odd to me, to be honest with you, that you're going to reserve one for $1.
Well, it's going to eliminate your people who are just trolls, But at the same time, you said that I wouldn't use your regular card either. I'd get you a little $10 limited credit card or something.
It
Usually, if
gives them a
somebody's
list of people that are probably interested in buying,
if you're willing to spend the $1, it's more about willing to put the effort in, basically, versus somebody who's just going to type their name in once.
All right, the website anse3d.com. How about another source for another direct drive wheel? They're coming out of the woodwork. I mean, I can't even keep up with how many manufacturers make wheels now. But we got another one, and it's from China. Surprise. It's called IMM Source, and they have 3 products: the ET3, the ET5, and the FD1. And I found a video from Lawrence DeSawa where he took a first look at them. They basically sent the products to him, and he did a review, unboxing kind of thing. I watched about 2/3 of the video. I mean, it worked, but he had challenges. Like the software was in Chinese, and it took him, he had to like pause the video and do some research before he figured out there was a button he could put it in English, So just little hiccups like that. He also had trouble getting the settings just right. Like he had a lot of where he wanted the wheel to be free and he couldn't get it to be free, and he was moving the sliders around, and so there were some certain challenges with the software. There's 2 versions, the 10 and 17 NM version, and they're for sale at Bruzy Racewear, of all places. Yeah, Bruzy is known for selling gloves and sim shoes. But when I went to their website to look at this new wheel, Bruzy is selling all kinds of sim equipment. Not only do they have the IMM Source, but they sell also the Sim Magic, as well as the other ones as well. The Moza, they have the Moza wheel as well, and they also offer the gloves and shoes, like I said, as well.
So go over some prices here because they're in pounds. It looks like if you get the ET5 just by itself, you're looking at about $1,200.
Seems high.
That's the 17 Newton meter one, right?
Right. So you compare that to what? The DD1, which is 20, and that's 1,200, right?
1,500.
15.
I believe so now. Yeah.
Wow. I think I only paid 1,000.
I'll double check on that.
So you can get the ET3 with one of the wheels, their FD1 oval wheel or their FD1D, which is the wheel with the flat bottom, and they're 910 pounds. That's $1,500 for the wheel and the base combo.
And I did just double check the Fanatec DD1 it's 1,200.
Okay. And one thing that the video pointed out that I wasn't aware of is he said that the quick release hardware is the same across the IMM source, the Moza, and the SimMagic. All three manufacturers are using the same quick releases.
Yeah, it's just your standard NRG quick release.
Okay. But it's good that there's some standard there at least, right?
Well, that could be very well the same company over there. China's economy's got a lot of commercial and not commercial at the same time. So they could all be the same company, or at least have somebody telling each of the companies how to do it.
There was a video of maybe a couple months ago I watched that somebody was suggesting basically that the motors inside these are all from the same source in China, and that these companies are just, regurgitating the same product, with different housings and wheels and stuff.
That doesn't seem implausible.
Oh, that's very likely what's going on. And you just look at this, like even the housings are, these don't look much different than my SimMagic. Probably not a bad thing though. Get lots out there. Keeps driving that price down, hopefully.
Yeah, I thought the price was a little high, but compared to the Moza and the SimMagic, this is the highest one.
Well, let's jump into the results. What do you say?
All right, NASCAR iRacing Series, Atlanta. Let's finish up. Friday Open. I was wrecked out. The guy directly in front of me pounds the wall in turn one, takes us all out. But before that, I had hit the wall and then a caution. I came in, I took 4 tires and fuel, and I stayed about 30 seconds for damage. Now, once the damage was done, I got to pull where I was able to pull away. All of a sudden, they're putting right side tires on again. I panic. I go quickly with my mouse to uncheck the tires quickly. I hit the left, then the right, but I think I actually inadvertently clicked the right on again. So they changed the right side tires again. So I lost a lap, and I ended up taking 1 set of lefts and 3 sets of rights all in the same stop. Cue the circus music. I have no idea what I did. And I didn't touch anything, I swear. And I don't have any apps, clicking on my tires. And, why did it give me tires after the damage? I have no idea.
Did you have required damage?
No.
Okay, because I know that it will not, sometimes it will not do tires until after required damage is fixed.
I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe I don't remember that, but maybe that is it. It messed me up because then I didn't have enough tires to get through the race. But I ended up wrecked out anyway, so it ended up being a non-issue.
Yeah, I was doing okay, and we had green flag stops, and I sped. And then trying to make up for it, I also got unsafe exit. And so then I just went ahead and sped again into the pits and slammed it into the inner pit wall and parked it. was just not a good day, and the slump was continuing, and I wasn't going to race around for three or 4 hours, whatever, or was going to race around 3 or 4 laps down the rest of that night.
Okay, and then Adam Jocelyn, he wrecked out too, and Tony Groves, you wrecked out.
Oh yeah. It's pretty much a common theme for the night. I think I made it to lap 7, and I got totaled. I got a little loose coming out of 2, and somebody drove through me, and kind of like the repeat of the week before, just pile drove me into the wall, and like it was over 40 minutes of damage.
Yeah, there was a lot of fun, and you just hear about every 10, 20 minutes, I'm out. Later, I'm out.
Yeah, that's kind of how that night went. How about Sunday Open? Brian wrecked out.
Yeah, so this is a fun race. We were about halfway through, had about cautions by that point. So here's the situation. I was coming out of turn 2, and there was a group of cars about 2-3 seconds in front of me. One of the cars got loose coming out of 2, darted down, down towards the fence into the concrete, came back up the track, and right before turn 3, I just caught up to him in the turn 3. He was on the bottom. I went all the way high, all the way around the fence, so he could collect himself, because he was just down there on that apron part, and gave him tons of room, and everything was fine. Came around to the next lap. Well, I got a run on him coming down the back stretch, and then I went low into turn 3 and 4, and like on the exit, when we were getting ready to exit turn 4, he came down and ran into me and to my side. I was able to collect it, and none of us wrecked, but he yelled at me for, I don't know, for holding my line, I think, and running into me. So he was all upset because we made contact. And for my part, I just told him I was down on the bottom. I was holding my line. I don't know what you're talking about. 2 laps later, there was a caution, and he decides to dump me in under caution. He wrecked right into me. I went into the wall, crashed my car, had like 5.5 minutes of damage. So I didn't finish the race. I didn't, and that was it.
That's a protest.
There was a protest, and I did protest because, I mean, it's bad if I make if I screw up and you retaliate. That's bad enough, but when it wasn't even my fault to begin with, and then you retaliate against me for you screwing up, that kind of really rubbed me wrong way. And so yeah, I sent in a protest, and I got the form response back that your protest has been resolved or whatever. But I've been following him ever since, and he's still racing. So apparently, that's not what you get. That's not worth a suspension. Good to know.
What? How is that just a warning?
Any first offense,
Yeah.
just about, unless it's, I guess, basically racist, is just a warning. Any first offense.
Yeah, maybe it was a first offense, but you did the right thing doing the protest. And I was talking to Tyler. He's like, man, it takes a lot to get Brian to protest because he's such a happy-go-lucky guy. He was pissed.
Yeah, I was literally shaking. I was so upset about this because I race with people, for the most part, unless we're like coming down to the end and it's real tight racing, I give people all the room they need. I don't, I race with a lot of respect, in my opinion, but and the lap before, I gave him so much room so he could collect himself after having an issue coming down the back stretch, and then for this same guy just to pinch me down and then yell at me and then dump me, it was just really got on my nerves.
All right, so we go from the lows to the high. David, win.
Man, finally, after all the crap, this is a tough start to the season. I take this win on a 3-lap shootout. There was about 70 laps to go, where we had a pit stop and under caution. I made it a little bit too loose, and as a result, I ended up saving fuel involuntarily, and I was going to make it, but a caution landed with about 10 laps to go, and it trapped a lot of the guys down that weren't saving fuel kind of behind us. They had to take the wave around. and race us the rest of the way on older tires. So they were in the back. I restarted third, and with the adjustment, I tightened the car way back up and was able to take the lead in one lap. We had another caution, 3-lap shootout, and I was able to pull away.
Well done. Good way to turn it around.
Yeah, unfortunately, the next night, the league race didn't go so great.
Okay, Tony, and you're backing up your stuff with a win.
Yeah, how about that, eh? That was awesome. Great set. This time, Friday night, I qualified. This time I said, no way. I didn't qualify, and I was actually the last number in the room. So I started dead last, and I was able to just kind of sit back and let everybody kind of wreck, and then made my way up into the top 10. Like I had a fast car, and I really enjoyed racing that track. It just got around there quite well. So I was pretty much able to stay in the top 5 for the whole second half of the race. And then I had the lead at about 30 to go. And a lap car decided he didn't want to go a lap down or, another lap down, and decided he wanted to race me. And ended up using up my tires, got myself, I smacked a wall, lost the lead. And I was still in second place. A caution came out with 8 or 9 to go, and the leader decided he wanted to pit and gave me the lead, and that was it. Like I got the restart and just took off, and they couldn't catch me for it was a 3-lap shootout just like David had at the end, and I just drove away from everybody and took it home. It was awesome.
Stack them up, man. Let's keep stacking them. Well done. Yeah, our team is doing good. I think we've won everything but Phoenix so far, so we're on a roll. Sunday fixed. I ran P14. I got jumped 3 different times from people that couldn't hold their lane. Like I'd hold my lane, they're on the inside and they can't hold it, and they just, come up into you. But it wasn't too much damage, so I soldiered on. I found the wall a few times on my own, and I eventually wrecked really hard near the end. Man, I suck. I mean, that set was tight too. Stephen Llewellyn was out there with us. He got wrecked out. Tyler, he got a finish, and he got P8. He said, finally, a dang top 10. Finished with 13X, all from getting dinged and doored. Eventful race with cars going everywhere. Fixed set was just too dang tight. Early damage on lap 2 had my RPM down to 1967. Had to keep the car wound up on the outside. Another what could have been on Dakota. So let's talk Coda. Wednesday Open. David wrecked out.
Yeah, I was doing okay, running about 20th, and just made a mistake at the end and got stuck in the wall, and just it's the road courses are just not going to affect the points too much, so I wasn't too worried about it. I was like car 30 and was running 20th, so not terrible considering how tough those fields are on those, and you don't get any resets or cautions or anything. So you're going to finish where your pace is for the most part, other than people who take themselves completely out.
All right. And then I got a nice P10. Started 14th, kept it really clean. I never spun off, not even once. I had 12X by the end. I thought for sure I wasn't going to finish. I thought for sure I'd get the disqualification from too many 1Xs. But boy, was I backing up those fast braking zones. I mean, I was braking way early just to make sure I didn't screw up, like 20 feet early on purpose, because I just don't trust myself to overdrive this car. And this car, overdriving at Coda, man, it's so easy to do. It is so easy to do. So I'm one and done. I'm not going to try it again, I don't think.
I did try it this afternoon, and what did I finished 18, I think.
Well, you didn't stick it in the wall though, right?
No, I didn't. Yeah, I forgot to type it in. It looks like nope, there it is. P18. I just said who cares. Again, I was car 27 or so, and out just out survived the people that I could out survive, and got outrun by the people who were faster than me. I'm putting down 15s, and the fastest guys are putting down like 8s and 9s, and that's just I don't have that pace. I am really enjoying the braking with the pedals. I'm outrunning some of the guys in the S's, but I think I need to slightly tweak just how stiff I have the throttle, because I'm still spinning the wheels just a little bit too much getting on the gas. And I think that's where I'm losing most of my time right now.
Okay. Adam Jocelyn ran today. I think he had 10th, but he actually had to do a drive-through, and he stuffed it into the barrels, basically, getting into pit road way too hot.
And that whole process did not lose a spot. That's how much of a gap there was.
Yeah, Tyler Williamson, he ran with me last night. He ended up with the best finish so far, P7. He did have a drive-through and still finished P7.
I don't think he's running it again either, because he was not having fun. It goes along the same lines we were talking about with the you don't restack the field. So you basically just try to run and not screw up. And when you do screw up, there's never any getting it back. So it's not the most fun event to hop on when you're in iRacing.
I agree. And I think I said last night, this may have been the hardest NASCAR race I've ever run. Just the amount of focus I had to do to not screw up, to not run it off the road, to not get too many X. I mean, and it wasn't, I say it was hard, but I'm also saying it wasn't fun either. I agree. That's why I'm one and done. I'm not going to run this again. I just want my points, and let's move on to next week.
It's too bad that they can't have different exporters for different class cars, because when we watch the real guys, they're going to be so abusing these areas that we're not allowed to with the 1Xs. All of the runoffs, they're going to be, where you can't touch the curbs really in the S's, and they're, as long as they stay away from the turtle, they can basically just about do whatever they want. So it's too bad that they can't make that adjustment. You don't want to allow that kind of leniency in an F1 car, but these are twice the weight.
You're right. This would be a lot funner if I didn't have to worry about the 1Xs. I mean, I'm not like going off every time, but sometimes in that infield, you go just a foot wide and you get one. You're like, damn, I shouldn't have got one for that.
Yeah, track limits need to be adjusted, I think. I talked to Tyler after his race, and he said just the track limits were just ridiculous.
Yeah, it makes it not fun. Like if it was more relaxed, I think we could really race and enjoy it a little bit. Let's talk other racing. Hosted, I ran a bunch of stuff. I ran wrecked out of the 87s at Tally. That some guy was intentionally was on the apron, and he turned up into the leaders as we went by. And yeah, this was in the Chris McGuire hosted, and I'm pretty sure that guy got what we call permaban, where he gets blacklisted and he's never going to be allowed to join those hosted servers again. It's a shame when people do that. We had a good race going.
Did something happen to the notes, because the entire fast track entry is missing?
I don't know. The next one is Gen 5 at Daytona. That was super fun, but got wrecked out. Then I ran a couple carb cups at Tally. I was wrecked out each time. I did a Delara Dash at Charlotte, wrecked as well. Pickup cup at Daytona, wrecked. You see a trend here? Man Cave After Dark, Thursday Night Truck League. I ran Texas. Was running dead last, and then I plowed the wall to make it worse, and I parked it. No fun. It's no fun to be dead last in a league when there's not a lot of drivers anyway. So yeah, and I'm not going to be running that tonight. They're running 5 flags, and I don't think I have that track. Let's talk fast track racing. Do you remember what you did?
Well, I know I was involved in that early wreck. We had a guy get loose and kind of unsafely rejoin the track and scared a bunch of us and caused another guy to panic and get into the wall and cause a big one.
I don't really recall much about that race. I don't think I ran very well. Oh yeah, I remember there was a big one, right? And then, uh, yeah, so yeah, you're right. Some guy rejoined, and then I think one of the admins, hit the wall hard, and then a bunch of people were involved, and so I gained a bunch of spots.
Yeah. Bobby was wrecked out. I'm looking at an older version of the notes. Somehow it got replaced. But Bobby was wrecked out. I was wrecked out. Greg hit the wall and parked it. And you had P14. Said you started dead last, a big wreck. Then several of us got disconnected. You lost like 5 laps, got disconnected again. And Adam went with the alternate tire strategy, right? Where it was basically a coin flip. Do I use the tires now or later? He went for later and didn't get the caution he needed.
Oh yeah, he got burned on that. And I did what everyone else did. I took tires and used up our tires when everyone else pitted, and that really burned him. But yeah, the disconnect, I remember now. I got disconnected a couple times, and it was others as well. So it wasn't just me. And it's like, that it makes me so mad because TeamSpeak still stays connected, and everything else stays connected, and Discord, and so it's not like I lost my internet connection.
You said it happened to several people, though, right?
Yeah, I wasn't the only one that was dropping out. There was like 4 or 5 of us, I think.
So that could either be on iRacing's side or could just be something in the backbone that caught a lot of people going down the same pipe.
Okay, OBRL Aftermath Truck Series. The winner is Josh Robinson at Chicagoland. Tom Ogle second. Dwayne MacArthur third.
Who?
And with that, we're on to final thoughts. Brian McCubbin.
Well, so I guess I want to start off by apologizing to my friends at the OBRL. Sunday morning, I had the dilemma whether I was going to run the OBRL race or I was going to run the NIS race. And I figured I missed OBRL last week because I had to work Sunday morning. But so I figured I'd just stick with the NIS. And that was a bad decision with the kind of garbage I went through. So I don't know, man, just stuff like that you just don't see in league races. Y- they don't put up with the kind of crap that I had to deal with that Sunday morning, and it was a real turnoff. I'll be honest with you. And I try not to take it personally, but it just does put a damper on my mood when something like that happens, and makes me think it's better for me to stick with just leagues where they just don't deal with something that kind of behavior.
Yeah, that's tough to deal with. I'm surprised it's taken this long, though, Brian, for you to have to go through that scenario. I think all of us do at some point.
Yeah, that might true, but
All right, David Hall, final thoughts.
Well, we got Sebring coming up. Greg just ran a race, did pretty well. I'm gonna probably do one here in just a little bit. That's about all I got going on. I still think I'm kind of in the slump, even with the win. Though that was a really exciting win. I remember, especially if it's been a while for the NIS side of things, I definitely had the heart rate pumping through that, and it was very exciting. So it's a slight monkey off the bat, but still just a kind of a rough start to the season, and I'm probably going to spend most of the rest of the year both in league and NIS, just not even looking at the standings because I'll just get depressed if I do.
I'm not looking at standings on purpose. I know how bad I've been doing. Greg Hectus, I don't know if you hear us. Final thoughts.
You got me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I wasn't on the podcast here tonight. I got some stuff that I was taking care of, but got a league race coming up here in a couple minutes. Just looking forward to running some Coda this weekend and doing a bunch of racing at Sebring with David and the other guy that we got at. What's his name, David?
Stefan.
Oh, Stefan. Yeah, that's right. Racing with him. So that'll be a fun thing to do here on the weekend. And yeah, get back at it.
All right, very good. Tony Groves, final thoughts.
Well, man, did I ever feel great last week. I haven't raced Coda yet. I will be most likely Sunday now is going to be my one and only start. And I'm sure I'm going to be absolutely humbled like the rest of you. I'm not expecting a whole lot. Survival. Maybe I just start from the pits and let everybody wreck themselves out, and hopefully I can get myself a decent finish that way. I'll just go real slow, be super, super careful. Yeah, that's my strategy. We'll see how that plays out.
You know what? Savor these wins, Tony. I mean, this is payback for all those previous years where you went winless. I mean, now is your time.
Yeah, well, that's just it. I am savoring it. That's awesome. Like winning's fun, losing sucks. But getting back to this type of car is just great. Now I got a little bit of work to do coming up because we got some short tracks coming up, and I'm terrible at short tracks. So I'm going to be spending a lot of extra time on the track, trying to just being able to do something there. My goal is to get out of these bottom splits. So putting focus on just racing more to do that. But yeah, hopefully it'll be nice to get 2 wins. But you know what? I got one. I'll be happy with that. So if I can just rack that up with a bunch of, top 5s and top 10s, that'll make for a really good season. Those are kind of my goals this year.
All right, well done. My final thoughts, shout out to Tony Rochette, our teammate who had shoulder surgery today successfully. So he's got his chicken wing fixed, and he said it went well. So hopefully he'll be back on track sooner rather than later. But I told him don't rush it. The racing will be there when he's all healed up and done. The other thing going on, man, I spent a lot of today looking at older video I've already watched of my new Cube Controls F Pro wheel that, I won't get for another, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks from now. But man, this watching, people use that wheel and what it looks like and how it works and how to set it up and how the software works. And I'm just, I read the owner's manual, I've downloaded the software and the driver, and I'm excited, and that's part of sim racing is the equipment side of it, building your rig, putting that cherry on top. And that's what this wheel is. It's my cherry on top. So excited and ready to rock. So, hey, we'll see you on the track later. All right, title ideas.
5.